have that RFC and that draft from Anima ready to be shared. Yeah.
Right. So essentially, we need section 643 of RFC 9595 that has the answers, I believe. At least I wrote it to have the answers. So if we have a way to share that, I think we have a background.
Yeah, 643 of the RFC. And for the Anima draft, yeah, probably ESCO knows better. Well, the young modules should be.
ESCO is right there.
Hi, ESCO and Richard.
Hello.
So this is just the top of the hour, but as usual, let's give 4 minutes or so before starting.
Hey, just want to check my audio here.
Works fine. Hi, ESCO.
Very good, thank you. I can hear you as well.
I couldn't hear this from the short hello, but I think Ricard's audio is a little bit overdriven.
Wow.
So maybe if you can take out a little bit of the gain, you will be easier to understand.
Yeah, but how about something like this? Does it help?
Yeah, somewhere in the middle.
Now it's very faint.
Okay, now it's perfect.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice to be in a working group where everybody knows that they have to do an audio check at the start. It just conveys this sense of realism that is sometimes missing in other working groups.
Yeah, I just switched to Linux now, so I need to test all the things again.
I have a Mac and I have to test everything every time. Four minutes past.
Right now, yes, let's start. Welcome, everyone. This is an interim of the core working group. I'm Marco. My co-chairs are Jaime and Karsten. And this is not well looking at the participants here today. I guess you're very familiar with that. So please be nice with one another per our code of conduct. And if you have any knowledge of IPR, disclose it or refrain from participating in the technical discussion. We have two agenda items for today in the notes. One was raised by ESCO on the procedure for seed file publication related to RFC 9595. I guess it's mostly a live discussion to which mostly Karsten can contribute to give some guidance. And then we have an item from Karsten related to a draft currently an individual submission in the CBOR working group that has received some attention recently also in the core mailing list. Any other items or any agenda bashing? If none, then we can start with the item brought up by Esko. How can I assist in this, Esko? Do you want me to share the screen with anything, like one of the two documents?
Yeah, I can maybe share my screen.
Oh, please do. That's also great.
Request it and to make a choice. Which screen to share? Okay, one or two. Yeah, which one is one and which one is two? Try one here. Oh, that's not the right one. And maybe two. Okay, that's working. So this is just a quick overview with some talking points that we recently hit. Just wanted to confirm if this understanding that we had is right. Because we are now working basically on a draft that updates Yang modules and wants to assign SIDs, we came to these all these procedures in RFC 9595. So what to do with that? So from that RFC, I understand you have these three types of module developers. So these are the people that create the SID assignments, or at least, well, no, they make the Yang modules basically. And in the case of type 1, they are also doing the SID assignment. So that's what we have been doing. So we have now basically a .SID file in the internet draft following this recommendation by 9595. So it basically allows for review, for example, by ASG, and then later on, as I understand, it's taken out again. And the question was maybe, okay, who is doing that? Is that the RFC editor here? Or do we need to tell the RFC editors that they need to do that? That sounds also like a good bet.
Yeah, I think the answers to both questions are yes.
Yes, that's good. Yeah, so that's
the basic idea is that once the draft is approved, it's stable, we hope, and we can extract the SID file, and the RFC editor would remove the SID file. That's why it's usually a good idea to put it in the appendix somewhere, maybe as the last appendix, so
right.
Section references don't change. That
Yes.
maybe in the mailing list or somewhere else.
Yeah, okay. I think we've now tried it in this way, indeed. And then there's also the type 2 SID aware. So that's somebody who develops a module but does not basically do these things, does not put a SID file in the document, does not assign any number, but basically relies on someone else, which is called the SID assigner, to do these assignments. So they are aware of it, and they have someone or an entity that does the assignments. I think in this case, if it's IETF SID space or IANA SID space, then I think there would be a kind of what is it? What we call expert team in the RFC that makes the assignments. So what you have also been working on, Karsten, like making assignments for existing modules, for example.
Correct.
This would be similar, right? That you have at least some people who can do that.
Yeah. So the idea was that all Yang modules that are out there have type 3 developers, because they didn't have a crystal ball to know that
Right.
they would have to do this. So all these should be done, and we have been fighting a little bit with the tooling to make sure we can do this for many of the modules. Some of the modules out there are actually so outdated in the Yang usage that the tools don't work. So that's part of the work that is still required to filter these out and get the SID files published for everything else. So that's the really big type 3 bulk. And of course, there are new type 3 modules coming in all the time, and these also will have to be handled by the SID designer. And this is the designated expert, and we now have a mailing list, Yang tooling, actually, where we meet to discuss issues about Yang tools, and SID generation is one of those issues.
Yeah, okay, that's good to have the mailing list for sure. Yeah, and there's also a small difference between type 2 and 3. Maybe is that type 2 is aware of SIDs and can give a heads up to the experts like, hey, I'm making this. Does it look okay? Or can you do something with it to assign SIDs?
Yeah, so the main issue is there a SID file already somewhere that was used in the experimentation and validation of the module? And if that is the case, we have to talk to the developer about whether it's worth keeping the SID assignments that were in that experimental SID file, or whether we start from scratch. So that's really the main difference between type 2 and type 3.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, in case of we are kind of type 1 with our work here with A366 BIS.
Yes.
But even there, the same question comes up, like, okay, we actually said we would like to reuse the existing values, keep the values that were assigned, and did some effort for that.
Yeah, but you have that part of the process fully under your control, while in type 2, it's a conversation between the SID designer and the author.
Okay, yeah, then at least this is clear for me. Maybe I can just go to the next slide then. I have total 3 slides, I guess, so it's not that much. So this is basically saying we are type 1 for draft IETF Anima A366 BIS. So we have now included the .zip file in an appendix. What we did not have yet, I saw, was that some sort of IANA note in the appendix. So would be good to add that. So maybe that's a good practice to say this needs to be removed upon publication.
There is an RFC XML feature that you can mark a whole section as to be removed on publication. So that's probably what you want to use. And in the IANA considerations, I would probably mention that SID file. So the RFC editor and IANA can collaborate in putting the final text in there.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, it could be worth mentioning in the IANA section, like, okay, this work produces a SID file, like a final one, and this is basically, yeah, stored by IANA in the repository somewhere. I don't think it already has an official name or so, but or does it?
Well, you need to have a range allocated.
Yeah, that we have actually. That's the temporary early allocation that was done. So the ranges are already there.
Good.
And yeah, the question is, should we mention the fact that there needs to be a stable SID file produced and then basically handed over to IANA?
Well, you are doing that. So, but by the time the document is approved, you would have this single paragraph in the INA considerations that says you have been allocated this range, and the SID file that uses that range is in Appendix F. And Appendix F would just be the SID file and a removing RFC flag, like Marco has just written in the chat.
Oh, there's something in the chat. I'll take a look. Let's see.
Yeah, so we need to sit down after this meeting and write this up, put it into a markdown file somewhere, and make sure that people get this who want to finish a Yang module. That is type 1.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so that we need some text there, maybe to do this properly, because maybe also because it's the first, or at least one of the first drafts that includes a zip file. And then the last part was, well, do you have some process for converting this draft zip file into the final zip file? That's what the tools can do. So how would that work? So is it based on the extracted draft from the RFC, or does it come from the repository where we also have the zip file? So it's in the GitHub repository as well.
Well, what you get approved should be a final zip file.
Yeah, but the one in the internet draft is still kind of unpublished at that point in time, right?
That's correct. So that's actually something that maybe needs to be part of the process to turn the unpublished into published. But I think that's all that needs to be done. Or am I mistaken?
Yeah, I think it's same information, and that I think with the tool like Piang, you can. I didn't try it yet, but you can probably turn it into published by just using a flag. So that makes the allocations final then.
Yeah, we use the term stable and unstable for the individual allocations, and published and unpublished for the whole thing.
Okay, yeah, there's also probably drafts can also be published, right? But maybe that's the wrong use of the term.
Well, yeah, but the meaning of the word published is you no longer can change it without creating backwards compatibility problems.
Yeah.
You can still add SIDs, but you cannot remove them.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so this needs to be part of the process, and I wasn't 100% sure about the details there, so just to make people aware of that.
So where is the document right now in the procedure?
Yeah, we're now in the phase of kind of completing the working group last call. We kind of went through that, although I haven't seen official result of that. And there were questions sent around about IPR and so on, and that those were answered.
So it's still in the working group, and you can make sure that you would submit something to the ISG that already looks right, that has all these things, so we don't have to edit during the ISG processing. It can all be done on the work group side.
Yeah, I think we still can do that now. Yeah, we're still making a few final changes now.
Good.
Okay, then let's try that. And then there's one final slide for this topic. So this was maybe interesting to, which you've seen, of course, probably. Some questions and opinion of Andy in the Yang tooling list. So he posted that the whole thing is something like a tooling problem because, well, it needs to be automated as much as possible. Otherwise, well, we keep doing lots and lots of things by hand, or mailing files to each other is maybe not the right way to do it efficiently. But yeah, that still needs to be designed, as I understand it, like this whole total process for the IETF.
Yeah, I probably should answer Andy's email, but just to go through them quickly. So how do we publish unstable, or actually unpublished internet draft zip files? Well, you put it in the internet draft. That's the answer to A. How do users extract zip files with a tool that can extract things from drafts, which, for instance, could be Kremlin RFC extract source code? How do working groups make stable RFC zip files IANA ready? Well, they need to get the range so they can put the right numbers in there, and then they usually just run the Piang tool again with the right flags to generate a new zip file that respects the old allocations, the allocations in the previous version.
Yes.
How does IENA publish RFC SID files? Well, they have a way to put Yang modules out there, so they will put the SID files alongside them. How does IENA manage and allocate assignment ranges? Like IENA manages everything, so this is probably a relatively manual process at this time, but I don't see a big problem there. And F, how do users manage and update Yang and SID files together? Well, they write a new draft, and they hopefully put a SID file into that draft that respects the previous allocations.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some things that could go wrong there. I think we already had cases where, for example, the Yang module was updated and the SID file not, and they have different dates and all these things. Well,
yep.
Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. But,
yeah, so that's a really good thing to have the CI set up for, and I think we need to have examples for how to do the CI exactly right. I think these will come with time. But
yeah.
maybe we can point to your repository if you do it right.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's 100% right here. It was kind of a big legacy of a couple of years, and yeah, that's in there. So there was, yeah, but okay, there is some automation at least. Yeah, it's okay. So then I think for the question B, so how to use extract SID files. Yeah, there was this element that was used in our draft. It's that file line wrapping is used. So there's a
that's all handled by Cramdown RFC extract.
Yeah, they can basically read that, and I think there's also kind of comments were used in there. Let me check if I can find that draft. Just have a quick look at the appendix. Allocations for voucher request. Yeah, maybe I'll just can show it here.
Yeah, this is all handled. So the tool doesn't look at the plaintext file. The tool looks at the XML, and in the XML, that's just what kind of element is it? I forget. And the only remaining thing the tool has to do is get rid of the 8792 line wrapping, and that's what it just does.
Yeah, and this line that says note here.
Yeah, that goes away.
Yeah, okay. That's a kind of is that a sort of a standard command line or?
Yes, that's the line that is prescribed by RFC 8792.
Ah, okay, yeah, right, okay. Then it can,
so that's actually part of the XML element that has this 8792 encoded thing. And what extract source code does is it looks at a file and looks whether it has this conventional first line, and if it does, then it runs the D8792 process and gives you the clean source code file.
Okay, I can see here the dates. That's already something wrong here. So we have the module is dated 2025, and the other one was 2023, I think. Yeah. So this SID thing has trying to.
So this is a SID file for a different module.
Yeah, well, if you look here, it says it has the right date in the file name.
I think you have a contradiction in your document.
Yeah, so the only possibly remaining problem here is that these kind of things go wrong, and at some point there are so many things to check that half of the people don't notice anymore that it's wrong.
Yeah.
Not even the author. So and
So
Yeah.
we do have some tooling that the ISG uses to look at documents that have Yang modules. So maybe Andy is right that we have to touch that tooling as well.
Yeah, because if there's anything automatically extracted in terms of SIDs, it should probably also look like, hey, do we have the SID file for the right version of the module here?
Yes.
And if not, yeah, it gives some error here. Yeah. Okay, then let me think. Was this thing with the unstable? Do I see it here? Yeah. Oh, it's here. Okay, unstable. It's only for the new items, apparently. So the items that were already existing are do not have the unstable. Does that look correct also? So this is an update of an earlier module.
That looks correct.
Yeah. So it's basically new things that are not yet approved, basically, or unstable. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand how the unstable things fit into the sequence so well.
Yeah, here we have an unstable thing that was already allocated, I think, but maybe there was a change.
So you have changed that?
Yeah, it's possible that some things changed. Yeah, I don't know exactly what for this one.
Okay.
I think it was one thing was that there was an older mechanism used to yeah, basically use Yang for something like document definition. So there was a sort of framework for that that got updated with another newer framework. So I think that could be the reason why changed here.
Okay. So the point that it doesn't need to be unstable if the identifier is still the same. So the unstable is not about the Yang schema. It's just about the association of this identifier with the SID. So I'm wondering whether this actually should be unstable. But I have to look at that. We probably can't find it out during the meeting.
Yeah, there is this thing that, of course, I think the SID files that were made for earlier versions, they were never officially approved. I think so. This all drafts basically.
Yeah, that's not whether they were officially approved is not the interesting question. The interesting question is, are people using it? And if they're using it, you have to treat them as things you won't touch.
Okay, well, I'll at least have a look at the dates here. Check that, and that was basically about
Great.
B, how the users extract. Okay, so the tool, there should be tools able to do all that and do the matching as well. I think what we concluded now, or that's something to make sure that the tool can do that. Is
Yeah,
that also
so
based on PM, that tooling, or is that the choice, or?
I think we can bring it up on the tooling list. So what we need to make sure is that the SID file actually points to the right module.
Right.
And that is probably a pretty simple tool to write, but somebody has to write it.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, then maybe we can just continue on the Yang tooling list with this if there are further ideas or questions.
Great.
Yeah, so the procedure we had in mind was already pretty compatible then, I think, with RC 9595. Okay, Well, that's it from my side.
Thanks a lot, Esko. Could you please upload these slides to the data tracker entry for this meeting, also for consistency with the notes?
Yes, I'll do that.
And it's this link I put just now in the chat for convenience.
Okay, now I have to find out how to access the chat here. Oh, wait, that's the thing with the speech bubbles. Okay, now I find
Right.
it. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, next in line is Karsten, and we have slides on that item.
Correct. Okay, so this is something that has been brought up in an issue by Andy Bierman in 2022. And at the time, we were too busy to actually address it, and it came up again in 2024. And there is a draft now that we can look at. The thing we are talking about is the Yang metadata feature, which is something that is pretty well regarded, and I'm not sure whether I should say widely used, because that's always a bit hard to say about something that is deployed in a lot of places. But the idea is that beside the data nodes that are defined by the schema for a particular Yang module, you need to be able to slap some additional data on data nodes. And these are called metadata annotations in RFC 7952. 7952 is essentially just exploiting the fact that the XML attributes were pretty much unused in Yang XML. So it just shows a way to use those attributes. So it's pretty well supported in the Yang XML world, which includes the netconf world. But it turns out that doing the same thing is harder in JSON, because JSON doesn't have XML attributes, obviously. And what actually came out as the solution for JSON in 7952 is generally regarded as way too complex. And it runs into little unknown features, or should I say, easily forgotten features of JSON, like the fact that the map order is actually not defined. So an implementation may find things in a different order than the one that the XML had it, and that may create problems if the semantics is not defined cleanly. Anyway, so that's a big problem. And the interesting thing is that CBOR actually brings everything to implement metadata annotations in an extremely simple way. And because it's so simple, I wrote this up in 2024. We looked at this a couple of times, and we now have a -02 that defines how to do Yang metadata in Yang CBOR. Again, the whole thing started with an issue on the Yang CBOR documents issue 147. So this is still the place where the discussion happens. And what I'll do now is quickly describe the solution in the CBOR Yang metadata draft, and then go through three things that are brought up by the issues. So this is the technical content of the document. The technical content is that you can use a tag that still has to be allocated. So we politically correct say CPA 109, but nobody will shoot you if you just say tag 109. And we use this tag in place of an instance representation in all places where we want to attach metadata to that instance representation. So on the left side, you see a Yang CBOR instance at the SID that has an instance representation at the SID 61600. So it's in a context that has 61000, and by using a delta of 600, it puts the instance representation at 61600. And if you want to slap metadata on that, you just package the thing in a tag. The tag has a tag content of 2-element array. And the second one is that instance representation. And it's the second one because you want to have the metadata at hand when you start interpreting that instance representation. That was a strong requirement that is easy to fulfill in CBOR and a bit harder to do in JSON. So the first element of that array is just a map that has those metadata. That map, as usual in Yang CBOR, can have both numeric map keys, which are SID deltas, or can have name-based keys, so you don't use the SID process for that particular metadata data item, you just use a text string that is essentially an instance identifier. So that's the technical content, and I think most people should be able to even implement this in an afternoon in their Yang CBOR implementation. So if we can make it work with just that technical content, this is yeah, very easy. So if you have any questions on the mechanism,
Yes.
go ahead.
Question. So one question is that the fact that you can have SIDs in metadata, that is basically intentional, that you refer to other items, right? With the metadata, you link the item at hand with some semantics to other items. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically the idea is the meaning of that metadata must be defined somewhere, and so we essentially need a description and a type piece of information from the Yang module that defines this metadata item. And you can point to that Yang module by giving a text-based identifier, or you do that by giving the SID.
Okay, so the metadata items that are defined also get SIDs in that case, right?
Yeah, and that's on one of the next slides.
Okay, that's coming. Okay.
That's the one big missing item in the document right now.
Oh, okay, yeah, and the fact that you use an array, yeah, that's of course the interpreter needs to understand this format.
Yes.
Clearly.
That's the other slide.
Looking for the tags. Yeah. Okay, we'll come to that.
Right.
That's
but good yet that you see the two items of work immediately just by looking at this slide. Any other questions on this? Okay, so let me go to the naming issue that we already just touched. SID files have 4 different kinds of names in there: modules, identities, features, and data node, schema node identifiers. And for this, we have to add a number to this enumeration. Now, everybody who thinks about Yang modules that are used for data at rest will tell you, oh, you cannot do this. This is non-backwards compatible. But hey, we don't care. This is not describing a server, but it's describing the data format we use for defining these things. So we can add non-backwards compatible stuff to this as much as we want, because it's not actually non-backwards compatible. So existing SID files will work, and SID files that of modules that use the MD annotation Yang extension will have these it's called enum data on my slide. I'm sorry, it should say enum annotation. or in a metadata or whatever. Sorry, there's an error on my slide. But that sounds like something that can be easily added to the current draft before we do an adoption call. Any questions about that? Of course, the small matter of implementation is somebody has to put this into Pyang next. Yes.
Okay, no questions, no.
Thank you. So the second thing is something that you cannot know because it's just known by people who have been using metadata before 7952 was actually standardized. So there are some attributes out there that do not have Yang modules. And that is, of course, wrong. But if this is in wide use, it's probably a good thing to have this available in Yang CBOR as well. So my question to the people who are interested in this legacy compatibility aspect is, couldn't we just write a Yang module that is called legacy or something? And could we define some special handling of this module? Yeah, and we need a list of those legacy metadata attributes. So that's something that some Yang expert has to provide. But I think it's also not too hard to add.
So question here, so what is it exactly that does not have Yang modules? So is this metadata attributes? But how are they used then if they don't have Yang modules?
Well, you just set the XML attribute
Yeah.
and hope the best.
Okay. So just any kind of a deviating XML attribute that wasn't formally defined, basically.
Yes.
Use, and those are in use by systems.
Yes, and we need to learn more about what those are.
Right.
So if that is a requirement we want to adopt, we probably can easily provide a solution, but to adopt the requirement, we need to understand what is out there that is worth supporting.
Okay, and then you can kind of formalize that like after the fact.
Yeah, so we would essentially, if there is a list of these attributes that is somewhat stable, somewhat closed, we could just simply write a Yang module for that and have some special handling of that Yang module when you translate it back into XML or something like that. Otherwise, it gets a little bit more complicated, and maybe it's no longer quite as convincing to add this in if that list actually is unstable.
Yeah, this sounds like all questions for some other working group. No,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Which one is that for Yang?
Netmod.
Netmod. Okay.
So netconf is the working group that does the netconf protocol and how Yang uses that, or how that uses Yang. And netmod is doing the actual Yang language and how that is embedded. So they have done both Yang XML 7950 and Yang JSON, which is 7951.
Okay.
Okay, then there's this backwards compatibility, the real backwards compatibility issue. Current Yang CBOR implementations don't know how to handle tag 109. And my recommendation here would be to accept that as a fact. If we want to solve this somehow, we need a way to stash away information in a Yang CBOR instance that somehow old implementations don't stumble over. And I can tell you that will be complicated. like the Yang JSON solution for metadata annotations are complicated. And I'd rather do this in a way that is meaningful for constrained environments. And so, yeah, so you need to touch your implementation to live with Yang instances that have metadata. So the actual implementation work you have to do is each time you encounter a tag 109, you replace it by the second array element. That's the way you can ignore all this stuff and get your backward compatibility. And my meta comment is, since we really want to do the stand-in stuff anyway, this is pretty much the simplest part of the stand-in stuff. So if you implement stand-in, you can implement metadata at the same time. The remaining question is whether we want to add a parameter to the media type, Yang data plus CBOR, that announces that there are going to be metadata in there. And I think that should be discussed. It might be prudent, it might create more interoperability problems, and we have to discuss this with people who have the actual applications.
Yeah, just to comment on this, I think the idea was that the constrained devices or IoT devices would be the ones producing this
Yes.
data, so they can either go for the old or the new model. And there is some less constrained process, presumably, that will read or collect this content, right, or interact with it, do configuration, for example, and that should be updated to learn about this new format.
So what could happen is that you have a constrained server or agent, if you want to call it this way, and that of course controls the data it sends back if you do a fetch. But it also may want to take configuration information from a Yang client, from a capable Yang client, and we somehow need to manage whether the server will actually be able to accept those metadata. So that would be something we probably would try to address with the Yang libraries drafts, the fourth draft in the CoreConf suite. So since that isn't completely done, we have ample time to actually put it in there.
Okay. And then maybe for the media type and the content format, my first impression is here that you would actually need another co-op content format and also another media type. So with the parameter that could work basically, so then co-op gets a different number because they are really incompatible formats basically, so in a way.
You get the usual combinatorial explosion because metadata equals 1 or absence of the metadata parameter is orthogonal to whether you use ID or text. So yeah, that's unfortunate, but I think that's not a big problem.
Oh, but are there more parameters actually there for that?
Yes, you have a parameter to say whether you use ID-based map keys or name-based map keys or both.
Okay. All right. That kind of doubles maybe the types if you're not careful. Yeah, that's probably an issue then. You can't scale that very well if you want to have all the combinations.
Yeah, so at some point we probably have to leave the single byte space because we don't want to have it eaten up by this combinatorial explosion, but I think we are safe with this one.
Yeah. So if there are already three and you say that this adds 3 more by having
yes
metadata, then okay, that's still okay in a sense. but it's not really a scalable approach, of course, in the end. Yeah.
Oh,
But,
it's very scalable until you start eating up those 64 bits.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, actually,
No,
no,
but
it's only 16 bits for content format. Sorry.
yeah, it's also not if you are in the, let's say, the very efficient range that has a limited numbers.
Yeah. So the one that uses name-based keys can also use 1+2.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't need to be efficient. So so that seems fine then. Yeah.
Marco, you are in the queue.
Yeah, well, Esko covered most of what I had to ask, but starting from that, I'm thinking of actual co-op traffic. Unless, yeah, the use of this content format is implied by the application, the specification, whatever, you may be forced essentially to use the content format and accept options or something like that.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Okay, and further building on that, I wonder if, given the existence of these new content format IDs, there can be any use of them using what was called file magic in CBOR. I never remember the RFC number for the sake of storing this sort of thing identified to be of this content format using, yeah, the magic number computed out of the content format ID. Just if you
Good
could imagine anything in that direction. I don't right now, but maybe there is a purpose in storing those things, identifying them to be of this kind, or labeling them as being of this kind in other contexts than storing.
Yeah. Well, labeling is the more general term.
Yeah.
Storing usually needs labeling because our file systems are not metadata capable.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Let's keep it in the back burner for now. Thank you.
Yeah. I have a last slide. Esko, do you still have questions?
No, it's great.
Good. So here's my plan. If we agree with a general direction in which this work goes, this would be a good time to do a working group adoption call to get more opinions on whether we actually should go into that direction. Then we would do a little bit of working group work, like handle the three issues that were on the previous three slides and get some implementers feedback. So the usual working group work. Then we would do a working group last call when that completes, and then we would profit from metadata in things CBOR.
Thanks, Karsten. Any input, anyone already?
Yeah, maybe just mention for adoption in this case, it would be good to give some, yeah, like practical examples or proof points. Let's say that this metadata is used, then and in a way that it can also make clear that it's also going to be used for constrained devices. Because initial reaction could be like, okay, if you're a constrained device, then you probably make it short as possible. You're not going to send any metadata, just the bare basics, sending a few numbers or a few items across. But yeah, if you have some proof points or material that shows, hey, this is how it's used and in this kind of products, and maybe that would be helpful to make that decision.
Yeah, I would take that as an action item. There are 3 examples already in the draft that are taken from 7952.
Okay.
And I don't remember whether any of those is IoT related. Maybe not if it's from 7952. I would like to remind people that Yang CBOR is used outside the constraint space as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would make a lot of sense to actually find an example where metadata makes sense in a constrained environment and add that as a 4th example.
Thanks, Esko. And yeah, I noted on the list also some interest and discussion from Andy, of course, and then from Michael. Personally, I think it'd be good to develop this here in core for the sake of the CoreConf cluster and to use the expertise of core participants. To be also clean on the other side, I prefer to run a quick sanity check with the Seaboard chairs just in case they had anything in mind, but I don't think so. Also considering the priorities in Seaboard right now. And for sure, I couldn't see at any time an approaching or targeted adoption call in Seaboard. So I don't expect an issue really, but to be fair, I prefer to check. It shouldn't take long.
Yeah.
And other than that, Carsten, did I get it right that you wanted to have a revised version anyway to fix some errors or something?
Yeah, I was wondering whether we can just do the adoption call with the current document, but I think enough things came up that we should have this parameter, the media type parameter, in there, and maybe even have a first answer to the legacy attributes.
Okay, but then I think you can prepare this new version, and in parallel I can check with Barry, Christian, and Paul.
Great.
Just in case they have any feedback or concern, but I really don't think so.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much. Okay, which brings us on top of the next hour, almost. Anything else you want to discuss today for core?
No, nothing.
Okay. So hearing, reading, nothing. Thanks for today. Thanks a lot, Rika, for the notes.
Yeah.
Talk to you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thanks all. See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.